the latest on President Obama's trip to Asia. On Friday, he arrived at his second stop, South Korea. Hahm is in Seoul with the latest. And Shane, why is South Korea now considering entering the TPP talks?
Well, Phil, South Korea's had a long policy toward forging these free trade deals dating back to the 1990s, beginning with the deal with Chile. And since then, there have been about a dozen free trade deals either in effect now or pending, because South Korea's economy is very trade dependent. About half of the nation's GDP depends on exports. So if you look at the benefits, it gives South Korea greater negotiating leverage in pending deals with China, and also a trilateral deal with China and Japan as well. There have been these long ambitions to become an international trade hub, and not joining in the TPP talks would greatly hamper that effort. But you can't ignore the importance of ongoing talks with China. China is South Korea's largest trading partner, surpassing the U.S. several years ago. And South Korea has that framework in place to join the TPP, with several bilateral free trade deals pending with other TPP nations like Canada and Australia. So it's looking more and more that the government here is leaning towards joining those negotiations. Phil?
Shane, very quickly, Obama was just in Japan. He's now, of course, there where you are. How are the talks different from the folks you're talking to from Japan versus the talks in Korea?
Well, it's easy to compare the economies of the two countries because they compete in industries like beef, rice, automobiles, and there's heavy protectionist measures in both countries as well. But the fundamental difference between the two is that South Korea already has a free trade deal with the U.S. in place. It went into effect in 2012, and based on expert analysis, the deal has said to benefit South Korea more than it has the U.S. So, for example, if you look at something like shale gas, South Korea has a tremendous competitive advantage over Japan in that it can import the gas at a much cheaper rate. So the general vibe here in South Korea is that it's only a matter of time before Seoul joins the TPP. And at this point, commerce and trade officials here are making their assessments and analysis. But whether that comes before a trade deal with China remains to be seen.
Shane Hahm, live for us in Seoul, Korea. Thank you.